Hey, I'm here. Troy's here.
Morning. And you froze. You were here and you froze. Wow, we rugged in the first 2 seconds. What is going on? How is that a thing? How did this happen? Hello. Hello.
I think we're back.
Oh, are we? I was just typing a message to Monica saying, "Can you talk to Ian?"
I see an error that it says you have Riverside open in other tabs. I don't think that probably matters too much, but I'm seeing an error message around that.
I do.
That's what it says.
Um,
Could be wrong.
Well, I mean, I was trying to get it, checking it this morning and everything. It may be. I mean, that could be. Oh, you know what? Hold on. There is a. I do have a. Hold on a second. I do have a. Hopefully, I won't close the one that we're on.
I think we just lost Troy. There we go. Let him in.
Okay.
Now I have
All right. They're all
three of you.
closed now.
I'm gonna kick out the other one. Can you talk so I can make sure I kick out the right one?
I'm talking.
You're talking.
I'm
I'm gonna try this one.
I'm here. I'm talking.
This is going great. Strong start.
It is.
There we go.
Are they all closed now? It's my fault. I was trying to make sure the camera and everything and audio and everything worked this morning, so I probably opened it several times and didn't realize I had them.
It's fine. I think my internet or my router like died off right as soon as I hit live, which is about right. But anyway, so we were going off. It's about 10 o'clock now anyway, so it's right on time. We're here. I'll get the team. Can you guys post that we're live? All the spots. Yeah, so welcome everybody. I see chat is lighting up. There's 23 messages. Okay, I got it.
Cool.
We're on. So let's now lead us in, Troy. What are we doing here, and how can I help you today?
Well, we're doing the monthly AMA. You started doing these a few months ago. It's been going on for quite a while, which is really good. It gives an opportunity for the community to ask questions and get some actual, some feedback directly from the source, from the guy. So I know the community looks forward to these AMAs. I know I do. It just gives us an opportunity to ask the burning questions that we all might have and might be thinking. I actually thought of a couple of questions this morning that weren't put in the question channel that I think are kind of important. So
okay.
we do have we opened up a channel here about a week ago to the community to ask questions. So I have those all compiled, and the ones that had been upvoted, I kind of like highlighted so we can ask them first. And then hopefully we can get to all the questions that the community had asked.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I have a hard stop at 11, another call, but I'm happy to, of course, tear through all that you have. One thing I need to...
Your audio just cut out. Your audio has stopped. Yeah, your audio is stopped. Not hearing you at all. Did anybody else hear him, or did he just stop? Oh, there you are. I just heard a heavy sigh.
Yeah. Is that working now?
It is.
Good God. Okay. All right, let's see. Radio. I was trying to update the YouTube description. So there we go. Not made for kids. There we go. All right, so I'm here. Can they hear me now?
I can
so
hear
hopefully,
you now. It's a little low.
Fire away.
If you turn your audio up just a little bit.
Check, check, check.
That's a little better.
Yeah, I don't know if it's trying to like auto mute me or whatever, but this is live, folks. That's how it goes, right?
It is.
I'll keep working on it, but yeah, go ahead, fire away.
I think you're good.
All right.
All right. So let's get into it. We'll ask these questions. I didn't write them, so I read through them. So the first one actually was answered by Bryce. The question was about the Lineage Cup, if it's going to be an ongoing event every season. Once it kicks off, will it be every season thereafter? Because people are still purchasing covers for the higher amounts now to have horses that qualify for the Lineage Cup. Bryce did step in there and did already answer that he thinks it is something that will continue season after season. Is that what you foresee happening?
Yeah, for sure. Something that, we can build off of. Maybe it has tweaks or what have you, but yeah, it should be. We're going to see how it goes. Of course, we're all very interested to see how it performs. But yeah, obviously something that we put in well in advance and trying to tell people to plan for it. So, I really don't like making big changes after we've done that,
Right.
saying, hey, plan for this for 4 months and then now it's gone. I wouldn't do that.
Right, absolutely. And that was what Bryce was saying too. Okay, so the next question was, somebody had mentioned that they'd be interested in a little behind the scenes on the development process of the Simulcast experience, and what did the journey look like, and why are we building it actually the way we are, like with the user experience and so forth, and how will it differ on the betting site from the way that people are interacting with the actual photo finish platform itself, doing the wagering? How would it differ through a simulcast experience doing the wagering?
Right. Yeah, it's a great question. I think one thing we learned and struggled with over the years is, I don't want to say serving two masters. That's maybe a little bit extreme, but what is the point of photo finish when you log in? And that's been a user experience sort of debate and challenge. We want people to be, participating in all these pick pools, but at the same time, like, horse ownership is kind of what everyone does all the time. And so there was always this struggle of like, well, how do you, bring front and center that they should be putting bets in, or they should be playing, on these big pools or what have you, when at the same time, that was geo-locked to a lot of locations. Only a few states have that, as well as, people were getting to where they had hundreds and thousands of horses to manage. And so it was very clearly like their minute by minute, day by day, second by second responsibility was in horse management and ownership, rather than like, oh, let me just go spectate on some random race. And so a lot of that was really like, let's try and kill as many birds with this one stone, which is we've built this really amazing digital racing platform for the owners, and we've always been trying to build out the wagering side and the picks, and they probably shouldn't live in the same world. Owning and running a stable is just very different than sitting down for 1 second and just throwing $2 on some random horse because it's gray. That's just such a very different style. And so the concept there was really, okay, well, how do we open that up to as many people as possible? And that's how the OTB / simulcast idea came to fruition, which is really, we've built a premier, if not the premier, virtual racing product in the world. So now let's get as many people consuming that feed as possible. And the first consumer of that is Roku. And we're the first client building that Roku side. But then now, who else wants to consume it? What casinos want to consume it? What sports bars want to consume? It's like, does Apple TV need an app? Does Chromecast need an app? Does Android need an app? You just start getting into this like, well, now anyone can consume this feed. And, once we got to that as the idea, it was like, well, we should really help people bet on that in a very decentralized way. And that's the stuff that's what OTB is, right? It's a site where you can place picks and bets on these races that are going on all day 24/7 in its own world, in a decentralized smart contract on Solana way, not through photo finish, not through having to sign up and kind of wade through, all of the stuff that is photo finish, which is horse ownership, but instead, like, you're sitting at a bar, you scan a QR code, you place a bet with $2, like as easy as humanly possible, as few clicks as humanly possible. So that's really why it was sort of like you can't be great at both in the same product. It felt like it was just getting too much. Photo finish continue, and it still continues to be a lot. Everyone every day is like, hey, when are we going to add? Just yesterday, somebody tagged me. When are we going to add cosmetics so I can add, shiny leg wraps to my horse or bridles, and or when are we going to add a trophy room? There's so much to do on the video game side, which I think is all great. But every one of those things that you do pollutes, I guess, the core betting experience. And so that's why I felt like, okay, it's worth splitting these into two. So hopefully that sort of makes sense there.
No, that's a great response on that. You touched on something there in that response. You were talking about people being able to sit down in a bar in a decentralized way and, putting $2 on a horse or what have you. One of the questions that was asked, which I tied in right here with the very next one, was Solana's taking hours to complete some transactions, especially when we had the whole Trump coin, which made 4,700 millionaires over the weekend. Solana's taking hours to complete some transactions. So when wagering happens, what's the risks of people having to wait hours for their wagers to be settled? Or how do you envision that process of the person at the sports bar being able to do a wager on a horse for photo finish? How do you envision that happening?
Yeah, I guess I'll push back. Solana never takes hours. Solana takes less than a second. Coinbase is what has been clogged, not Solana. The Solana blockchain is still steaming along. So Solana's settlement and guarantee of security is so much better than any other betting platform, right? It's like, knowing that you can get your bet in under the wire before the race starts is atomic. It cannot be faked. It has to be, so that's the beauty of the blockchain and the smart contract. So if Solana had an outage, of course, like an entire chain outage, like it did a year ago or whatever, then yeah, no bets will be placed. But that's the bet that you make. I mean, that's sort of the technology stack that you choose. The same thing happens when Cloudflare goes down and no one's websites work, or Amazon has an outage. It's just everyone's relying on technology to some extent, of course, like the underlying infra. But with Solana, this notion that you could see every bet going into the pool, you can know for sure that the results weren't tampered with. You can know for sure that no one got a bet in after the pool closed. Like, that's one of the biggest frustrations in real life horse racing betting is the odds move because the computers fire in, $1 billion of volume on the last second because they see, an algorithmic, they think it's a big play. So now your 10-1 went to 3-1, just like literally in a microsecond on the way the bet closed. And so that, feeling of like, did I just get screwed? You could verify on the blockchain. No, you didn't. Like, here's the transactions. They all came in and they landed. Here's the ones that came in after they failed. You could see all of that. So I think it's actually brilliant. Yeah. And so the notion of like Solana having speed issues there is none. There's no such thing on Solana. There's Coinbase. That is definitely struggling with Solana's recent popularity, but it's not. There's nothing wrong. I mean, there's no problems landing transactions on Solana as long as you use the right providers. Like, people that are having struggles with those are doing things wrong. Whereas, I don't think there's a real issue there to worry about.
Yeah, I think maybe the wording of the question, when there's congestion, when there's heavy congestion, that can cause transactions to
timeout. Mm-hmm.
Right. I think that's more of. I agree with what you're saying. That Solana is like, they're the jam, but the congestion and the whole Trump coin didn't help things with the congestion this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, again, the bet there of Solana still doesn't have Fire Dancer out. It's still like early-ish Solana's technology, in my opinion, still, as long as you're setting your fees correctly, in terms of
Right.
placing stuff in, which again the OTB site could do for the user, as opposed to right now, a lot of the people that couldn't land things is because they were just relying on Phantom to get it right. They weren't doing it themselves. And so, yeah, I think that there's
Right.
no issue there. Like they have localized fee markets to make sure that even if there is congestion, even if another Trump coin launch, another Trump NFT or something that was going to clog and congest the chain, there's fee markets that then you can make sure that you're still getting through. So no, it doesn't concern me. Now, if it was 3 years ago, yeah, I'd be concerned. But Solana has gotten so much better, and it's still got like massive tech jumps landing this year. So yeah, I think we backed the right horse when we picked Solana. I've always felt that way. So yeah.
I agree with that. All right. Next highlighted question I've got here is, who is running the Crown Foundation? Who ran that's what that was their question.
Yeah.
Then they have a follow-up. The follow-up's kind of not, it's a little connected.
Ask them both. Yeah, go on both.
All right. So the question is, who's running the Crown Foundation? And the follow-up is, why is the PFJC Crown Foundation allocation of Crown sitting idle instead of earning fees, currently out of the range of seemingly not actively managed or being staked on track? So why? So I guess they're asking, why is the Crown that was allocated to the PFJC not staked on tracks?
Got it. Yeah, so the first part, yeah, I mean, the Crown Foundation formed in the closure of the PFJC, right? So the Photo Finish Jockey Club was the original floated idea in the roadmap. If you guys remember that, like, yeah, we're going to set aside some supply, and there will be a DAO of people that control what happens with these Crown funds. And that happened for about 6 months. If you go look at the Discord, and you can see. And then they all voted to disband it because they were freaked out about tax ramifications. They should have waited out Trump's admin to wait, to see. But regardless, they closed the PFJC, so that entity never landed as anything real. And so in its placement, they voted to give us back control. And so what did we do? We created a foundation. The Crown Foundation is in the Cayman Islands with a BVI, sub entity. The typical dual token structure, and the Crown Foundation's job is to make Crown go up. That's their hope and job. And so the Crown Foundation controls the Crown supply that they own. They have a board of directors. They are independent from Third Time, right? And so their goal is to make Crown go up. Typically, foundations do that by grants. They give us a developer program. So we're trying to do things to make Crown go up, right? We're trying to make Crown more valuable every day by making racing go up, right? So what they're doing with their Crown is kind of their business now. Of course, I wished that we were, executing that roadmap from 3 years ago, which was like the PFJC is buying horses and they're all going to the Derby together and all that stuff. But like, it was handed to the community and they handed it right back, which is fine. But that's just sort of what happened. In terms of why they're not staking on tracks, I don't think that's a great idea because they would be taking yield from you all. So what I'm more interested in what they're doing, and what I hear is going on, is they're working specifically on exchanges and liquidity. And so what they're doing right now, I don't know with it sitting there, I'm not quite sure what they're about to do, but I've heard it's around exchanges and liquidity is all of the efforts that they're doing. So again, I try to stay a little bit disconnected of that right now because of, it is a foundation. Like I work for Third Time Entertainment. I own Third Time Entertainment. That is now a different entity. And so it's good to keep those separate, of course, from all the standpoints in the world. However, of course, if Trump changes and says all coins made in the U.S. are tax-free, then we might be, rejiggering the entire setup and situation over there, which would be very exciting for me. Of course, it'd be crazy, but like, we'll wait and see what he says about that. But what he promised on the campaign trail of, no capital gains and tax-free on U.S. created cryptocurrencies and all of that, like, we could definitely see things change and differ, and who knows. But that would be, of course, a extremely bullish thing for Photo Finish if that were to occur. But
yeah. No capital gains would just be Epic.
Yeah, it's kind of
Oh my
insane.
gosh.
Yeah.
Think of all the money you would save on your fart coin.
I don't have fart coin. Butthole.
Oh, butthole. That's what
Yeah.
it was.
I wish I had fart coin.
It was butthole coin that you were
Hmm.
hyping. All right. Moving on. I guess next question. This person wrote, anything to look forward to in the presentation of horses as they die? Is there anything in the works to better immortalize the game's greatest horses, previous champions? Thinking something like a sports information director for the game. As a follow up, it would be a universal trophy room for the game as well as a stable specific
Yeah.
eventual. That's what they wrote.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, trophy room has been requested for a long time. Something we would love to do. Just time, and all these things. We have a small team, and so we're balancing growing the game versus doing features to delight the current users. And sometimes those things can cross over. Maybe a trophy room can work as a user acquisition thing, right? Like people start sharing and bragging, look what I've done, which attracts more people in. But so far, like we're really focused on like very specific user growth things like deposit matches and mobile and Roku and OTB. That's been a big lion's share of our work. I don't want to say that photo finish is done. It's never done, but it's a very good product, and it's a very fully realized product with product market fit. And so it's really about like us making sure we focus on growing it before we kind of keep plowing features in. That's a mistake a lot of teams make, and it's very hard to not do because obviously my favorite thing to do is build games. It's not to run marketing campaigns, and you can easily slide into that because you're like, oh, what should I do today? Should I write a marketing calendar and create some tweets and videos and edit, or should I just go code a trophy room and work with a 3D artist and come up with cool trophy? Of course, you always want to do the latter, but it's just always it's balancing priority every day when you got a small team and you're trying to make it work and trying to grow.
Right.
So that's really what we do. Now, in terms of the immortalization, we are working on that. Brian and I specifically were working on that yesterday. That's a big deal. February 10th, all of the Gen Zeros pass away. It's sad, and so we are prepping something special for that specifically because that is a big deal. I mean, like we've been on, as I said to Brian yesterday, what a long, strange trip it's been. I mean, it has been a pretty wild journey to think about from day one mint through all of the things, through the tickets, through cashing the tickets in and the beta, and then all of this, and then now here they are, they're dying. Like it's a crazy journey, and a lot of the people in the community have been there all along the way. So we do want to do something special there. Of course, how much time do we dedicate to something like that is always tough, but it feels worthy. So yeah,
Yeah.
something will come.
Yeah, I mean that was a good point. February 10th.
Yeah,
I don't know
sad.
why I was thinking longer than that, but if stables want to keep that bloodline going, need to make sure you're breeding them up this cycle.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's gone.
forever.
So it's kind of important to make very wise breeding decisions this go around.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so let's see. Next question is, how is market testing going? Are funds being deployed at a greater level? Is there any progress? What is going on with potential track partners? Any update on that? Has the user onboarding started? This is a long question. Has user onboarding
Yeah.
started from gig? What does that look like?
Right.
The new tutorial, will it be live?
Yep.
ETA and deposit matching. This person just wrote a book.
Yeah.
Simulcast hints on target release. Any partners liquidity, partners interested, long
It's
live
ridiculous.
PFL.
Yeah,
So
there we go.
basically, this
All
person
the
wants
things.
they want to know in general what's happening with marketing
Got it.
and any partners, updates on any potential partners in
Yeah.
Simulcast.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, user onboarding. We have been spending, call it, it's 500 to $1,000 a month on Apple search ads on mobile, and still just iterating there. So far, the signs are good, but it's too early to turn on the floodgates. Just so everyone knows, like my typical strategy each year is to kind of iterate through January, February, March, and then try to spend big in April. I'm sure you all know why. That's when horse racing starts to actually show up on every trending chart. That's when everyone is searching for horse racing. You can go look at Google Trends if you don't believe me. In the US, people care about horse racing basically in April and May, and that's about it. And so we typically try to spend heavy in those months to really capitalize on Derby and Triple Crown season, right? So regardless, it's going well. Like we're working on it. I've seen multiple days last week where new users showed up, they deposited. I posted a tweet the other day showing like a 60-70% lift in new users that were depositing week over week. It's exciting. It's just early, and like we can't just go spend $1 million. You have to be measured and slow and smart about it. But yeah, it's just going to be one of those things that, like, right now, do you believe that we'll figure it out? If not, wait until the numbers start going up. Or maybe they don't, but I think they will, and we'll start seeing new users that way. Gig is like ready and pushed to production. I think as of this morning, I was looking, we're just writing like help descriptions for their people to know how to log in. They have to follow like a certain amount of quests in order to get in and finish. So that's pretty imminent. I don't know exactly the date, but that's really close. I mean, all of the functionality is in the game for signups and everything. So just kind of waiting for the green light there. The new tutorial that comes with deposit match. Those two are together, basically playing through and earning a deposit match. That again is pushed to staging. That's in testing now. So close. I don't know the exact release date, but that is feature complete and in there, but still needs testing and verification. Track partners has been an interesting one. So, obviously we've teased that we have quite a few little track partners that we had been in discussion with. I'm not going to say it's not worth it, because it is. It's just there's been like 3 or 4 that I've been I'm not sure the right terms. So we've got people on the hook, we've got discussions, we've got all that going. It's just trying to make sure that it makes the most sense, like from a monetary standpoint. Are we paying them? Are they paying us? Are we doing a mint? Are we doing this? Like you kind of go through the discussions on negotiations with these tracks. And Churchill was the white whale. Like that was the big one, and we got it first. And so, to add some other rando track is typically not really great. So we've been really going after the big hitters the most, and they take time and all that. So nothing real to report there other than just discussions ongoing, negotiations ongoing.
Right.
But yeah, I think that was mostly all. That's a lot that's going on. I mean, I think we're poised for an amazing year. I keep saying that, of course, and people, I try to step back and ask, for those that get nervous and freaked out around price action of Crown or around user base or whatever, it's just really like step back and obviously know that there's hills and valleys always in development. And then, do you believe that having a great game matters in the long run? We all agree the game's great. I think, like for the most part, that seems to be a thing. It's like it's one of the best, if not the best game in Web3 in terms of skill, strategy, earning, all of that. There's issues, of course, but like, do you trust that we'll figure them out and fix them, given the track record of us doing nothing but that for a long time? And then, do you trust that we can turn a game that has 1,000, 2,000 users into a game that has 10,000? Like, which is a 5x growth on everything, on user entry fees, on like I sure do. And then, do you think we can grow a wagering business? I sure do. So it's just tough. It's like everyone gets freaked out. It's so hard being in this crypto space when you see random bullshit appear from thin air and launch to $1 billion, and you miss it, and then you get mad. Why isn't Crown doing that? It's like, I think that too. I'm the same way. Why isn't Crown doing that? Like I'm with you. Like, why aren't you guys buying Crown like that? And it's like they can go, oh, it's this, it's that, this reason or that reason. And I would disagree with almost all the reasons. Like, it's a meme forward, hyper profit focused cycle. Like, it's crazy. It's an amazing bull cycle for meme coins, and those have sucked all the air out of the room for utility and normal plays, and that's okay. Like, it's just like, but we can't be that. Like, we aren't that. we aren't a fart coin, like, and so we just do what we're doing and maintain this vision that like we know that this game will and can last forever. And these Gen Zeros dying is so sad, but also like a great memory of like this is the game. We did it. Like we committed to what this game is, and it's why this game can last forever. Is this sort of like constant rollover and the bloodlines going away? I mean, it's like the infinite strategy that comes with this aging is so fun to see finally actually happening. Like, and now all of a sudden there is deflation. That the horse, everyone like every month, right? When are the horse? There's too many horses. There's too much breeding. There's too much that. There's too much supply, not enough demand. And it's like I agree, but the things will find their water a little bit. Like water will find its level because these horses are now passing away, and it's just sort of like I don't know. It's exciting to me rather than I don't feel any panic, and I don't know. Some people do, but not
right.
me.
No. I mean, it is going to be sad. I have to admit. I remember pre-launch when we were in beta, holding on to those tickets, right, waiting for the day for them to be born, for real on the platform, and then now to see those horses be no more is
It's wild, right?
that's going to be sad. That's going to be a very, very sad day because some people have made like really. It's weird, but you make attachments almost to these horses. I mean,
Yeah, they're pets. A little bit.
they're these digital horses, and it's like, I mean, I have one named after my granddaughter, and I am like extremely attached to that horse.
Right. Yeah.
Brooklyn Marie, don't forget it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's going to be sad. But you touched on something that wasn't a question that was asked, but I thought about it this morning. Um, it was brought up during the last AMA, and that is the aging, the amount of years on the aging of the horse. Has there been any more talk or discussion on shortening the lifespan of the horses?
Um, we posted a like vote, right? And
You
it
did.
was clearly, well, I can't remember where those results ended up. I need to go look. It was not universal at all. So that's one of those things. It's like, well, so you have to see through people's bag bias and what they are deeming. Why are they voting yes or why are they voting no? And thinking through the ramifications of changing that. So it's a really hard decision to make when we drew that line in the sand and everyone based their decisions off of it. Like me personally, step back, zero problem whatsoever with random 18 to 25, they just pass away out of nowhere. Zero problem with that. Like, I think that is totally in my real as it gets mantra. In fact, it's very nice compared to the real as it gets life of a horse. It's still very good to get 18 years guaranteed out of a horse when many don't make it to 4 or 5 or 6 is good. But we committed to 25, and if there's anything I've learned with this game, it's that everyone's resistant to change because there's money on the line. Like they've made decisions, they've made their spreadsheets, they've done their homework, and they've done all this work, and so it's just like a lot of times I sort of step back of like, can we just lock this game in a box and not touch it ever again? And then now, of course, everyone has to figure out and deal with whatever the issue is, because like it's a PvP game. You're all dealing with each other. You're not fighting against us. And so there's an interesting thought there of like, all right, this is the game. You guys play it. As opposed to like, oh, let's keep changing, let's keep tweaking. But we're not going to do that yet or anything. But the point being, like, an iteration is required to make games successful, especially if the market goes in some crazy direction. You might have to correct. But I haven't made the change. I was ready to make it, but then I got cold feet once I saw that it was just not really like universally popular. I thought it was going to be a no-brainer. Yeah, of course. Yeah, 18 to 25 or 21 to 25, and we would maybe even tell you like this horse stops breeding at 19. or 20, like give them a breeding age, which is actually in the game, but it's never shown. Like basically how long can they breed? Right now, that is the same as how long they live. But if we just said, oh, okay, you know what, their breeding lifespan is 4 to 16 or 4 to 24, it's just a random number. And then now people could deal with it. The moment that horse, is born, they know that's what they're dealing with. I had no problem with that, but I don't know. There was a lot of people that did. And like, people like Lacey, who I trust and listen to a lot, she, like, for example, like just very adamant. Like Lacey typically doesn't speak with too much bias. She's very like super fair. And so when Lacey kind of jumps out of like absolutely not, all caps, I'm like, all right, well maybe I need to pump the brakes a little bit, So it's like maybe I need to rethink this. So yeah, I haven't made the change. Of course, I like making those changes like that, seeing what happens. I like seeing the market sort of react and people do this and that, but at the same time, I don't like drawing a bunch of heat from anger. I like if you know me, I like sort of a little bit of trolling, a little bit of angst, but I don't like it like super mad. So
Right. Well, that would
yeah.
obviously be kind of a monumental change to
Yeah.
the game.
And what does it do? Like, so here's one thing I'll just say is like, okay, so just, and I know we don't have as much time, but like, okay, so hypothetically, these great super studs that are getting tons of volume, they might get less. So, maybe they die at 20, 21, and then, randomly, I don't know. That's the thing. They could be 25. So who knows, right? But then maybe there's more to go around. The other thing though is like, as the horses get better and better stallions reach on the market, like that reduces how much those studs get covered anyway. Like the market corrects.
True.
And so it's like, if I kill them early or another horse is born better than them, they're, it's both can happen to sort of reduce that thing of like the stronghold that the top studs have. But I personally like, I don't know, dude. I mean, Tap It is still out there making every dollar from. It's just like
Right.
that happens in real life, and so I try to not interfere too much. So
Okay.
yeah. Anyway.
All right. Next question is this person wrote, can Ian speak on the issue with the full screen on mobile? It's been an issue for a couple weeks now and growing frustration that it's not truly fixed yet across the app and mobile browsers, at least on iOS for Safari and Chrome. So what I wanted to add to this is I noticed, and this was going on for a while, when I was on my phone, I would see this flicker.
Yeah.
And in fact, I even got to the point where I screen recorded it on my phone and I posted it for Bryce to look at. And someone from your team then jumped in and said, okay, they worked on it and they resolved it because it was a horrible flicker. I mean, you
Yeah.
would look at it and it was like a strobe. The screen was like strobing.
Mm-hmm.
That's been fixed. I have not seen the flicker in the past week, I think now, but what this person is making reference to, and what I've noticed is the full screen went away, and you couldn't enlarge it on your phone.
Mm.
Now the full screen is actually there. You can't pause it now. So there's been in the
Yeah.
past week been some issues around the viewing of the races. Do you know what's caused that, or is that being worked on?
Yeah, I believe it's being worked on. I mean, anything like that you see that are bugs on, especially on mobile. I mean, again, it's like get that into Bryce. Bryce will lift that priority up. I think Ryan Belke had been making these fixes on our team to get that stuff out. So obviously, get that stuff reported. If it's becoming a major issue, like really hit Bryce, and Bryce will always make sure that he's the great filter. The community, of course, everything is the highest priority at all times. Right? So it's sort of like Bryce is this amazing filter to like funnel things our way, and so he typically gets it right. Like if something's affecting a lot of people, or if it's a really serious thing, then he makes sure that he elevates it to us because it's just like we just can't be in that Discord all the time. It's just too hard. I used to try. It's just too much. It's like it's a lot. So basically, yeah, we will fix any of that, of course, especially if it's a really serious negative user experience. But just make sure that the severity is shared to Bryce or to Fib or to Giuseppe, anybody on Twitter. You can really ping any of us just to make sure, but that will ensure that we get it into a QA, into Jira, make sure that its severity's right, and we'll try and push a hotfix out as soon as we can. But I know Belky has been working specifically on that video player. It's hairy, it's old, it was built in 2021, and so it's just one of those things that's taken a lot of like cleanup to get it working, especially on all the different browser types and on mobile app. I mean, it's just it's the same as building anything like that. It's like a web component that's video or audio, like on all browsers, is always a pain in the ass. So,
yeah. Okay. All right. So the next question, now I have to ask this because it was in the channel. It's not really so much on you. It's more on the streamers. It says, final question. It says, does the team know that God won't let the game have success until people are allowed to disable notifications for the live stream channel?
yes,
So,
that's supposed to happen. Yeah.
but
I think I know who wrote that, but no, that should be fixed today. I yelled at Bryce and Fib about that over the weekend as well. It's like normal Discords have a separate role that you say, hey, I want to tag people that subscribe to the live stream role, and that's who you tag. So that will get fixed.
You can mute
probably
that
today.
channel though. All you gotta do
Doesn't
is
matter. Doesn't matter. That's not what I want. I don't want anyone but like me and Bryce and the team to be able to tag everyone. That's the biggest problem. Like that's the issue. So they're fixing it.
Okay.
So the Lord shall shine upon us soon, sir.
All right. Okay. Now on the questions that weren't really upvoted, but they were listed. Let's see. This person wrote, I'd be curious what the expected daily number of new players added to the top of the funnel would be the team's hope. So what is your expectation on the daily numbers? And once marketing is out of experimental phase and going full stream, so what is your expectation on a daily basis now and in the future once your marketing is in full motion?
Is running full speed. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Obviously, this game is more niche than Photo Finish, the original, right? The mobile game, or even Horse Racing Manager. It's going to never be what those were. So just for example, like when we had, I guess it was Photo Finish get featured on the App Store during Derby Week, we were getting 250,000 installs a day. I never expect we'll get that level. Like we're not an arcade game. It's not a casual pick up and play. So where is it? Is it 10 or is it 100? Is it 500? It all depends on that funnel of conversion from free player to depositor, right? And so if we had starting here soon, I think we were getting 40 new payers kind of coming in on these campaigns, 50 new payers at a cost of 10 to 20 bucks. If we can kind of maintain that growth level of you're looking at maybe 100 to 1,000 installs a day, depending on their retention and their conversion. My hope would be that we're lifting the daily active users from 1,000 to 5,000 to 10,000 over the course of call it 2 months, 3 months. So you could do the math there of like, all right, 90 days, you want 10,000 or 5,000 users. That's sort of what you would kind of do daily. But again, so much of it depends on the conversion. So it's sort of like if you get like gig, where we expect, and what happened last year at the Derby, right? You get this big tranche of 20,000 players in a day, and then 2 convert.
Right.
That's not what I really want, and I expect gig will be like that. The difference with gig is that I expect a lot of them to become available and helpful for players that need stable managers. Whereas that was not the case last year at the Derby. There was just people logged in, they wanted to see if they won a jackpot, and then they left. So yeah, it's really about that. Like if I was running a campaign to try and get a lot of people in as stable managers, then yeah, I want 1,000, 3,000, 5,000 a day, top of funnel, it's only converting 1 or 2, but that's okay. But if I'm running expensive ad campaigns where I'm trying to go out and get whales that play, $100 blinds poker, then I want 20 of those a day, and I would be totally set, right? So it's just really, it depends on the campaign, depends on the type of player.
Right. There was another question in here. How many downloads so far on the App Store?
I'd have to look that up. I can share that later. Yeah.
I tried looking, actually. I didn't think I saw the number on.
Usually don't show up.
iOS doesn't show the number of downloads, does it?
No, only Google does. Yeah. Yeah. I can pull like the last week that we ran So the last generic campaign we ran last week had $11 per install with 21 installs, so $250 off of a paid campaign. So I mean, again, we're still running this 10 and 20 user a week sort of ads, and we haven't really picked up very many. The week prior was 34 installs at $12 per. So it's expensive, right?
You did Facebook advertising, right?
Yeah, yeah, and we still. Oh no, not on Photo Finish Live. No, on the old games we did, but I ran a Twitter ad on, and that was like not very good.
I'm bringing this. I ran a Radio W-E-B-3 ad for 7 days on Facebook. I was getting followers at 25 cents. Actually, I was getting them at 19 and 20 cents.
Followers, yeah.
Yeah, followers, but
Yep.
but it's a numbers game. You
Yeah.
expect so many followers then to listen and whatever. So, I was just wondering if you were running Facebook ads.
Not yet. So the reason we're doing Apple first, just so people know, it's just a lot tighter loop. Like if I run a Facebook ad today, which I could, and they click the ad and they go to the install page, and they either don't hit install or they do hit install, and then they get into the game or they don't get into the game, or they buy a horse or they don't buy a horse. All of that. There's a lot of like, why did that happen? Question. Like, was it the ad itself was confusing? Was it the App Store landing page itself? Is that why they didn't click on it? There's a lot of things that you're not sure. Like, okay, what performance? Why did a thing happen? And it's typically, why was it so expensive to get this person? And so when we're advertising on Apple ads, though, we know what they searched for. We know why they're there, and then our landing pages themselves are getting customized, so we can see, like, if we created an ad that's like, win $1 million racing horses, for example. When they land on the App Store page and it says win $1 million, and then they go into the game and they're like, what the hell? How do I win $1 million? Then that's a little easier. And likewise, if we said play the most fun horse racing game in the world as the ad, you land on the App Store page, it says play the most fun, they get into the game. You can basically tighten that loop of like what resonated at the ad. What did they think about when they got to the landing page? Did they convert? Once they got into the game, did they actually start playing? Did they feel tricked? That's what happens a lot with mobile games. It's just sort of like you're trying any ad to get them in the funnel, and then when they install it, they're like, wait a minute, what the hell is this? And so that's been the sort of like challenge of like, what do we show them to get the most clicks for the cheapest? Is that the app itself? When they get in, they're like, wait, I thought I was gonna whip the horse, or I thought I was gonna train horses, or I thought I was gonna do something else. That's where so that's what the iteration. That's why we're iterating directly on Apple, because that loop is tight. Compared to Meta, you would lose a little. So it's progress. It's slow. Everyone will go, when? Why are we doing this? Why? It's just like, but obviously you don't want to throw. You guys are hearing that it's expensive as shit to market to people.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it costs a lot of money. Like DraftKings, the last I heard, pays $1,500, $1,600 per payer, per depositor. Because they know they're going to get that back over a 3-year payback or whatever. So it's like, we really have to be super careful. $11, $12 per install, much less not. That's not saying they're even going to convert or deposit. It's very expensive. But at the same time, it's like, if we know that we do it right and we target the people right, if we pay $12 per install, that would be industry beating if those people are converting. So
Right.
it's like, that's what we're trying to make sure that we're doing right. Like if we could get people in at 12, $15 and their average spend is 100 or 500 or what have you, like, or like you guys that have been here from the beginning, 60,000, which I think is the LTV or some average lifetime value of all the original players, then yeah, we can turn on the hose. We'll be running TV ads, but we don't know that yet. So we just have to take your time to learn it.
Okay, here's another question that was written. With breeding, so this is what this person wrote. I'm just going to read what they wrote. They're saying, with breeding revenue falling season over season in the short term, is third time having to put additional funds into the majors and free rolls to keep the purses the same? Is there a possibility that the major purses would have to be reduced in the near future? Just a comment, if these purses do decline or are subsidized with Crown, I think that would spell disaster. So hopefully there are ways to hold off until more external revenues can find these. So
Yeah, very valid. I mean, obviously that's a big fear of ours. Not yet, but yeah, if breeding and race entry and all these numbers come down, then of course purses typically would come down too, and you get in that spiral downward, which is not where we want to be. And it's just why we're working our ass off to not get there. So yeah, is there a risk of that happening? Always. There's a risk of every thing happening, and people will have to understand that's just kind of part of the game. But what am I doing every day? Like working to ensure that that does not happen. And if it does, yeah, I mean, we obviously look at other ways to try and fund and make free rolls more enticing, make different versions of free rolls. These leaderboard based, prizes are working really well. The claimer series, the allowance, all that stuff is doing so. We have to keep it going and operating. But yeah, it would suck to have to reduce the purses on the Derby. Um, but at the same time, like it's dollars and cents. Go breed more.
right.
Go breed your
You
whole
don't
stable.
we're not at that stage yet.
Not yet. No. No.
Okay. Well
Yeah, not yet.
that's good news.
Yeah, I sure hope not, right? I mean, yeah, in my opinion, I sort of agree with him. It's like if you have to make that cut, it's a pretty severe like panic moment for a lot of people. Probably like, oh man, I gotta cut and run. This isn't gonna work, or this is not. So we're trying everything we can to make sure that doesn't happen. But everyone's got to know that like hills and valleys. If we don't have new users, then it might happen. So it's
Right.
just part of the thing, part of the fear that keeps me up at night.
Um, Another question, which wasn't, it kind of makes me think about this. I like the new wager boosted races where there's a percentage of the wagering that goes into the purses. I'm really digging that. So, two questions that I actually have for you on that is, um, I don't see that yet on the major races, right? Where those are wager boosted. Do you foresee in the future those would also, because we get a lot of action on the major races, as you know.
Hmm.
Um, do you foresee in the future where those races could potentially be wager boosted? And then also when simulcast happens, do you see where those races could be wager boosted also?
Yeah, the point of simulcast is to wager boost every race. That's why it's there. That means so that's why I'm so bullish on the vision of that. So what does it mean? It's like if every race all day can be bet on by anyone across the world in Applebee's or whatever, um, all that is going and flowing to the vig and the rake of that is going to the horses. It's exactly how real life horse racing works. And people don't race horses um, where they're having to come up front with like huge amounts for the entry fee. They're paying for the horse, they're paying for the care, they're paying for the transport, but the entry fee is often nothing, like $100, and then the purse is provided typically from the wager overhang, the rake, or maybe there's a casino attached to the track that's giving money in. And so that's always been the vision, and that's the point. That's exactly the point. Is that we did this with Crown to begin with because there was no wagering. It was really hard to start the economy off when no one's going to bet on this stuff. And here we are, year to later, it's like, yeah, we need wagering funds to kick this thing off. Until it's there, it really doesn't ever reach its final form. Like it could always run in this game that's like, head to head, bragging rights, pink slip sort of thing. But the true final form, exciting version of Photo Finish Live is that worldwide wagers are happening, and all of that is boosting every purse. So now it's like it's a no-brainer to own horses
Oh yeah.
because and now you really you're going for large pools when there's a big race like a derby, because there's more action on it. That's really where you want to get. So yeah, that's the vision.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
simulcasting and wager boosted races from simulcast could be huge.
Yeah. Right.
Huge.
Yeah, beyond anything we could imagine is my hope, right? And that's what we're going for. Otherwise, it's like, yeah, we keep doing what we're doing, breeding fees, sort of fund purses, and you end up with like this sort of closed ecosystem. And again, you reduce rake on, and Crown doesn't get this. Like the game is still, in my opinion, will always be alive, can always work, but will it reach that vision that I think we all believe it can hit, which is this sort of, there's billions of dollars at play. That's what we're working towards. So, maybe that helps people too, of like, there's always a floor here. Like it's never going to really go under. Like there's no reason for it to ever just like go away, which I think a lot of games have that risk of like, man, just people just stop playing it. Like that, there's an exciting game here forever with breeds happening every season and all that. Like maybe the stakes got low and you just feel like, it's not worth my time anymore. But man, I really don't see, I don't see myself letting that happen. I'm not going to do that. So.
Do you foresee the major races being wager boosted, like the Harbor Classic, the Artemis Cup, the third time championship, VKD?
Yeah, I mean they could. It goes back to that. Like we're not putting too much effort into on-platform picks and wagering because simulcast is where we're. So yeah, like I want simulcast to boost every race, right? Obviously, yes, the majors for sure. Like that would be the most exciting, of course. But right now, yeah, I haven't even looked at like how much revenue we're making off of
the majority of the races
Harbor.
that are. Yeah, the majority of the races that are wager boosted aren't the big races, the big majors. So I was just wondering if those. And I know you're at your hard stop now.
Nope. Yep.
It's that
it's
time
11.
you have another meeting you have to go to. So I don't want to hold
another
you up.
podcast. Filming another podcast with Zima Red, who I did a year or so ago. So that'll be live here soon. But yeah, thanks for.
You're gonna put the link in Discord so everybody can hop on and check that out.
Yeah, I don't think it's live. I think it's gonna be recorded. But yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll post it after that. But yeah, thanks, Troy. This is great, man. Do it again.
I appreciate you. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for everything you do, Ian.
Thanks, Troy. Same to you, sir.